Hey guys, welcome to the Balbit Show. I'm Meghna,
And I'm Upamanyu.
and we've got a great show planned for you. We're going to talk about how cats are getting trafficked. That's what our headline topic is. But these are not about the domestic cats, it's about wild cats and how they're being poached and trafficked in silence. We're also going to be talking about how in Myanmar's limestone hills, people and bats are often too close for comfort. What else do we have on the roster?
Right. We the trend of positive and heartwarming stories from the indigenous communities of Latin America continues. We have a few stories around that. There's also another story around the plight of the indigenous community and if them being affected by floods. But mostly positive stories from that side, as we have talked about in the last episodes as well. And along with that, there is another study um, which says the toxic technological waste is ending up in the endangered dolphins. So we'll cover that story too. Along with that, we, as usual, will have like smaller updates, species discoveries, and other smaller stories as well.
Okay, so our headline topic. It's an article from Monga Bay. It says big cats get the press, but small wildcats are being poached and trafficked in silence. Um, it goes on to read a recent study reveals a significant, previously undocumented trade in small and medium sized wildcats in Colombia between 2015 to 2021. Over 700 cats, including ocelots, oncillas, jaguarandis, and margays, were seized or surrendered to authorities, mostly found alive and likely destined for the exotic pet trade. While large cat poaching has been monitored, this research highlights a substantial demand for smaller felines. The finding, published in Biological Conservation, suggests this isn't opportunistic activity, but a considerable established market. Researchers also noted confiscations of skin, teeth, and other body parts. Experts believe the actual trade volume is likely even higher, raising concerns for these often threatened and endangered species. The surge coincides with increased jaguar poaching in Latin America. Um, this is one of those classic cases of when some of these cats come into the limelight, like the tiger in India, or the lions in Masai Mara, or the cheetahs. Then we rush to protect them, but then the other not so well known cats, they go under the rug, and then they're trafficked and poached. And how many people would actually know about ocelots or jaguarandis or marques or oncillas? Like these are probably species that most people haven't heard of, so how are they going to like want to protect such species?
Hmm. I think this is also the like very common example of megafauna being highlighted in the media, and megafauna being very um, you know all the protection money, all the conservation money going towards the megafauna, but smaller I mean small cats are still considered in some ways megafauna, but maybe smaller things like insects or maybe reptiles and other things like that, those don't receive as much conservation money. But in this case, ocelots and I didn't even know about. I'll be completely honest. Jaguarandis, didn't. I haven't heard about Jaguarandis
Really?
before.
Oh
I
my
haven't.
god. I actually use it a lot to confuse people when we play these guessing games or things like that. There's like a connect game where you start with like one letter and you have to get people. So when people guessed Jaguar, I kept going, and then they were like, "Wait, I have zero idea what Jaguar," and then a U comes after that. So yeah. But on
Um,
Oncilla is new for me. I heard about an Oncilla first time.
yes. Margays. there is another very small cat species called the rusty spotted cat, which is the smallest cat in the world. Um, Similarly, I think these are cat species mainly the species that are mentioned in the article. These are mainly from South America as well. But similar cat species like the jungle cat or the desert cat or the um, fishing cat, these small cat species are also facing similar threats in India and sort of Southeast Asian subcontinent. So I think this pattern of wildcats being under threat, not only are they under threat, and as Meghna said, not only are they under threat, but they're also underrepresented, basically. So
Yes.
that creates a double-edged sword for them, for
Yeah.
their situation.
And for probably to make it more relatable to people, like you know how football or let's say cricket, like in some countries, gets all the media attention, but like other games, like let's say hockey or table tennis or badminton or other kind of sports, they don't get as much attention. As the same way with the cats, like so the tigers and the
Mm,
lions are up here, and then the ocelots and jaguarandis are like, oh, who are they? Why do we care? I'm going to just do a quick screen share so that I can show you the article and the pictures. This is just a picture of a wildcat, but this is an ocelot. And there's
mm,
a very heartwarming documentary also that's been made on a rescued ocelot. Let me try to find out the name, and then we can probably put it up in the pinned comments.
mm,
So this is an ocelot, and this is another photo. It's from a camera trap of an ocelot. This is ocelot skin. So like you can see that these are the traffic parts. So they've kept a photo of an ocelot, and then this is the skin that has been kept there, which has been trafficked. um, and this is a clouded leopard. So even clouded leopards are targeted for their skin and other parts. These are different from the snow leopards and the normal leopards. They have different patterns, and they're smaller, like they're way smaller than the other
mm.
leopards. But these are also, I think, primarily found in Latin America. And yeah, and then this is a
Clouded leopards, I think clouded leopards are through Southeast Asia as well, sort of the South Asian subcontinent. But the other two are definitely Latin America. Yeah,
yeah, and this is
Americas. Yeah.
Americas. This is a captive fishing cat. This is found all across Asia, and this is saying that small wild cats are openly sold in markets in Karachi. So I mean, this kept in a cage is a wild cat that is being sold as a pet.
Mm,
Yeah, and it's not just these cats. So there are, it says leopard cats, palace cats, all of these, and palace cats are really rare. Like
mm,
they're all these wild cats. They're not meant to be tamed. They're not meant to be kept in your home. Like the domestic cats are called domestic cats because they've been domesticated over centuries. Thousands of years, and they coexist with humans now, but the wild cats are meant to be in the wild. Their hunting instincts, their everything is still really wild.
mm. I think there was a period where we talked about um, pet trade in a couple of episodes. I feel like, and
Yeah, those were, I
there
think,
we
mostly about birds, wasn't it? One, there was one about the African gray parrot, and there was, I don't know if we did we do anything about cats that time.
no, not cats, but I'm saying in those episodes we obviously asked this question of the audience and of ourselves as well, that what is our fascination with keeping wild animals as pets, because I am imagining that these cats being trafficked is for them being kept as pets, right?
Yeah, yeah, mostly pets, but then some of them can be poached for their skin and their
Mm,
claws or other kind of things. And I think they're made into small drugs or whatever it is. Like it's one of those trophy things that people like to have. Um,
mm,
but I'll just also just continue with showing one, two more pictures in the article.
mm,
These are flat-headed cats that were found in Thailand, but with the discovery or the rediscovery. it's come with a warning that they could be targeted by poachers because of their uniqueness. So if you see, they actually look like a mix of a cat and a mouse,
Mm.
don't they? Like it's
it
like
they,
a
they
cat.
do. It's so small.
Yeah, it's small and it's gray except for its face, like, and that
Uh-huh.
the flattish, yeah, looks quite different. But yeah, probably because it's unique, then people would want it, like, like, oh yeah, I want this unique cat in my house. So that was the last picture of the story. But it talks about how these small cats are so vulnerable and they really need our help and this awareness that these small cats are just as important for the environment as the big cats. Because both of them are predatory in nature. The small cats would hunt for other animals and create an ecosystem balance, while the big cats would hunt in different places. And the sad part is that in this article, it also talks about jaguars, which are being poached illegally. And jaguars are big cats, but there's not enough
Mm.
protection being, given to a jaguar as opposed to a leopard or a cheetah or a lion.
Mm. And I think it's very good that these bigger cats and obviously charismatic cats receive that kind of attention that is required, because obviously the apex predators of a ecosystem is very important. And also, if someone can some species can pull that kind of money and investment, that's overall great for the ecosystem and conservation projects and things like that. But I think, remember how we talked about that hippo. What was that hippo's name? The
Mujang, mujang.
Mudeng. Yeah. So them being an ambassador for conservation and raising money and things like that. I think that criteria, or that sort of mindset, should apply to any kind of conservation, where one species is receiving too much attention, but the other species aren't. And then the funding money that comes in, those funding money must be, dissipated in a way, and sort of disseminated in a way that it can help these projects as well. Because I have a very, um, not close, but I have close friend, who is associated with the fishing cat project for the last many years. She has done research on the fishing cat in the wetlands of eastern India, and she always keeps saying about the lack of funding that's there. Whereas a tiger project, or the Project Tiger, famous Project Tiger, which famously achieved, you know overachieved its goals by bringing back all the tigers, sort of bringing back a large quantity of tigers, that receives a lot of um, funding and international attention and things like that. Whereas these cats are equally important to the ecosystem, to the river ecosystem, to freshwater ecosystem, as tigers are to the evergreen forest ecosystem, or the high mountain ecosystem for the snow leopard is. So I think that that message, or that perspective should be very apparent to the decision makers, who are you
Yeah,
know
I think the problem here is virality. So whatever is viral
mm,
will work. Okay, so like, have you seen those videos of Punch the monkey that's been doing the rounds recently?
I
So
haven't.
Punch is this monkey which was rejected by its mother, and then
Uh-huh.
it was in the Ichikawa Zoo, in one of the zoos in Japan, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't taken in by the other monkeys, and it was being bullied, and it was holding onto this one orangutan stuffed toy and carrying it and sleeping on it everywhere. So people got like really emotionally, like moved by how Punch was like, very dependent on the plushie. And then Punch became like
Mm,
a internet sensation with like more, like, I don't know, so many reels, everything on him. And then like companies started sending Punch more plushies, like instead of trying to like make the living conditions better, because it's like a, four-walled concrete zoo, making the conditions better and maybe like separating different monkeys and everything. No, like it became a viral internet sensation, and it was all about the plushie that he was holding. Now they're even selling those plushies that the monkey is holding. So it's all what gets viral. So, like, because because
Mm,
punch got viral. Like now, if someday like an ocelot gets viral or a jaguar andi gets viral, then probably we know that people would be more inclined to save these species. So it is all about being viral now. Like people don't really care unless it's in the news and it's present, and you really are talking about it.
everything is so fast. Um, the information travels so fast, and everything is about the instant gratification. We have taken that to the next level, the instant gratification, which can be good in some cases. Obviously, the things that do go viral, they have this high chance of receiving overwhelming amount of funding or money or things like that. But unfortunately, for the smaller wildcats, I think it's
Yeah,
very difficult to survive the storm, and it will become increasingly difficult to sort of survive this sort of pressure. This is not to say, not to undermine the work of numerous scientists and conservationists that are very dedicated to all these different cat species. Every cat species will have NGO dedicated to them, or several NGOs that are working at the grassroots level to solve these problems.
but they don't get enough funding to actually,
They
like,
don't get
yeah.
enough funding.
Also,
Uh, I
also the
I
government.
remembered
Yeah, I mean,
I,
yeah, yeah.
I remembered the documentary you were talking about. There has been a documentary on ocelots about the wild ocelot that was adopted by
Yes,
some
yes,
person. It's
yes, yes,
called Wildcat,
yes.
and it received a lot of virality, but unfortunately, that didn't. I don't know.
It didn't
That did not
translate.
translate into, yeah. Why? I don't know. Maybe the government plays a role here as well. I strongly believe that.
That that
That's
that is true. I mean, for poaching and anti-poaching practices, like for all the strict monitoring and anti-poaching, it's the government than the NGOs, because the NGOs can't be in the wild spaces. They're mostly towards rehabilitating and a little bit of protecting, but it is the government that puts the last foot down. So you be it the big jaguars or the smaller ocelots or jaguarandis or the marqués, we need to like get people to be more aware and then put pressure on the government, so then they will start monitoring these species, and then hopefully that is what will help with the protection and survival for these little cats.
yes. Um, Here's to hoping that. And I think everything comes down, especially in a democratic country, everything generally comes down to the people and what they are passionate about and what issues are they raising. And of course, there are people who are really passionate about these kinds of stuff, including people like us, or people like you that are listening to us. But it needs to be, far and wide to have that impact with the government, because obviously the government has 10,000 different things that is being thrown at them constantly. And I feel like if it's and the more the merrier, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just hope that there is enough awareness, there is more funding, and there's more rerouted funding to the small cats, so that we save the big cats, but we also save the small cats, because all of them are important to the environment. Yeah.
True. Um, this as I said in the intro, there is a set of different stories that have come through from Latin America as well. So we talked about this small cat trafficking problem. Now let's talk about some of the positive things that is happening. And we have been seeing more and more indigenous community involvement in these crucial issues. The sacred land or their ancestral land, uh, banding together to protect them. We did a story like that before. They protected some 1 million hectares of Amazon rainforest. Um, Similarly, the story is from Papua. Indigenous. This is again from Mongabay, and this is headlined. indigenous communities oppose Papua forest rezoning for palm oil. Again, palm oil, these are the keywords that you guys probably will hear in every other episode, because these are the buzzwords in the conservation, in terms of like what's causing the rapid downfall of the ecosystem. So palm oil is something that is hugely, like, the raw product is grown hugely in the Southeast Asian countries a lot, and Indonesia is one of them. So the article says Indonesian Papua's indigenous communities are challenging government decrees, rezoning over 1.2 million acres of forest land for palm oil development as part of the food estate program. Issued last September without community knowledge or consent. This just, baffles me. The decrees reclassify forest areas, including proposed customary forests, as non forest land, opening them to plantation clearing. Communities learned of the changes through NGOs and have filed an administrative objection with the Forest Ministry. Overlap with traditional lands affects at least four indigenous clans in Boven Digol district, threatening their territories and rights. Legal counsel states communities are not recognized as customary owners despite their long standing connection to the land. If the ministry does not respond, legal action in the state administrative court is planned. This is great. The story is, I feel very hopeful about the story, but also very, again, I should not feel this, I know this, but it also shocks me that, a government can, reclassify vast swathes of land just in an instant without any consultation or without any, rhyme or reason, apparently.
But that is most places. Like, you remember I
Exactly.
told you that our environment professor during our masters, he said that the environment ministry is there to actually just pass all the, like the bills, or pass all the decrees saying that, yeah, you can rezone this and you can deforest this. So the environment ministry is not there to protect, it is there to actually unprotect, or if that is a word. So
Yeah.
I think that is with every government, they're only looking at like their GDP growth rate. They're looking at how development and how their economy can grow, but nobody's looking at the real problem, like, how if you save the environment, you save yourselves. I think there are very few countries that do that, one of them being Japan, Bhutan. So Bhutan
Mm,
really cares about its environment and the people and its happiness. But and I think some of the Nordic countries, but most of these Southeast Asian countries are really exploited, I think, because there's cheap labor. They're really trying to expand and get more money. So this is where the exploitation really happens. And with palm oil, I think, like, we've had it up to here. Nope's like, like, I mean, there's so many stories about palm oil. Like, I mean, now when I see palm oil written in a product, I get so bummed out. Like, I'm like, I don't want to eat this. Like, like,
mm.
why does it have palm oil? Why do we survive or depend so much on palm oil? Like, and that is like the last living place for those orangutans.
Correct. And I think Indonesia is facing that problem. Also, any plantation means that you're clearing out these hundreds of years old forests. Um,
Yeah.
which means it has been proven through multiple research that trees actually communicate, and we did a real long back when we were starting out about the trees communicating through their fungal networks, underground fungal networks and things like that. And I think um, they in some ways, if we anthropomorphize it a little bit, in some ways, the trees are talking to each other, and to the surrounding trees. There has even been evidence that um, when a tree is cut in this intricate forest network which has developed over hundreds of years, um, when a tree is chopped off, other trees around that area send nutrients to that stump, hoping that there would be some regrowth. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But still, they do that. And there is this beautiful book, if anyone's interested, they can read it. This is not a scientifically researched book, but this was written by German managed forestry manager, basically. So managed forestry are these plantations that we do for, it can be palm oil, but mostly it's for hardwood and furniture and wood that we source for our you know wood needs, like carpentry needs. It was a manager of these kinds of forests that wrote this book. This book is called The Hidden Life of Trees: What They Feel, How They Communicate, Discoveries from a Secret World. And he actually mentioned that this monoculture, the practice of planting just one species of trees in vast swathes of land, just hampers everything. Forget the trees talking to each other and forget that intricate ecosystem, but every animal, bird, and reptile that lives there, it just hampers the entire life cycle of those, every each and every different things depending on that environment. So it's terrible.
Yeah, I agree on that part. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm actually at a hostel somewhere outside, and there would be some of the other disturbances. But yeah, um, but I think the thing is, especially with the palm oil, um, the the problem here is that it's not just where palm oil is grown. It's that it's expanding all the time, like rapidly.
Mm,
Like, where is this extra demand for palm oil coming from? I don't understand. Like, there's other plantations, there's other oils, there's other things that we can do. Why is it always just focusing on the forest land for the
mm.
development of this oil?
Yeah, and I think that is absolutely true. And like as I've said before, my stance here, I am very conflicted in taking a very strong stance, because I can understand these developing nations, they want to prosper economically by increasing their GDP, or so on and so forth. So I can understand that bit, that that prosperity and economic growth and economic place in that table is very important to these countries, as it should be. But I believe there is this fine balance that has to be achieved in order to make sure that this place is, at least, even if we don't care about our future generations, which a lot of people don't, choosing not to bring kids and things like that.
No,
um
or they choose to bring kids because they like kids, but they don't care about what environment their kids are growing up in. Like,
Correct,
they'll still
correct.
be that capitalistic, and they'll still have the same consumerism mindset, and they will still want everything. But they do not realize that from the generations ongoing to our generation, the kind of burden is just going to keep increasing on the future generations. I mean, just look at this article. It says 1.2 million acres of forest land is
Hmm.
being raised at. And I don't think people realize, it's that same thing, right? It's like they say that if trees gave out Wi-Fi, then we would be planting them everywhere. Too bad they just give us the oxygen that we breathe. So
Correct.
we actually make it a point that, like till we don't have that last tree left, we will keep cutting them down.
Yeah, and I think that's what the the developed and the richer nations want. I was seeing this small video clip on somewhere the other day. I should have saved it, but I didn't save it. But it was by this a very veteran uh, conservation worker from India, and she was saying that the richer countries and the richer people, they what their attitude is, that we won't stop polluting, but we will just transfer all the polluting things out of our countries, and in places where there is like the economically backtrodden places and economically developing places, we'll just transfer all that responsibility and everything. So they won't stop traveling in their private jets, but they want the carbon credits to make them feel good about themselves, to make them, you know, sort of balance off the carbon footprint, the humongous carbon footprint that they're generating. And I have no reservations about calling these kinds of people um, climate criminals.
Yeah, I mean, even the ones that are the government in Indonesia, that has actually, it's really strange though, oops, right? Like Indonesia actually stopped a couple of Ford, I think, logging projects a few
Correct?
months back, and then now it's actually giving these zoning permissions, these deforestation permissions. So I don't know, like I think it's like a seesaw. So hopefully the
Hmm.
indigenous communities here can fight back, and their forest is saved and the wildlife is saved there. But this, we can only hope that the government listens. At least it's good that there is administrative and legal measures that the indigenous communities can resort to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these kinds of stories will keep on coming to us, but on the positive side, as Begla said, it's great to hear that there is a structured action, legal action that is being taken by the indigenous communities there, and the people close to grassroots is very aware of the situation at hand. Um, I think that's all we had to say about that particular story.
Yeah, I think we'll move on to a similar story because we're covering all the indigenous stories. This is from Amazon. So Amazon river folk warn blasting rocks uh, for shipping route will kill fisheries. Brazil plans to blast the Pedro do Lourenço or Cow. I'm sorry if I got the pronunciation wrong. A unique 43-kilometer rocky stretch of the Tocantins River to create a shipping route for soy, minerals, and cattle exports. Local fishers fear the detonations, likened to destroying an underwater Galapagos, will devastate rare species breeding grounds. Critically, the government hasn't recognized these communities as traditional peoples, denying them
Mm.
crucial protections and ignoring their generations long cultural and economic ties to the river. Leaders like Ronaldo Massina argue this misclassification, grouping river folk with urban population, erases their distinct knowledge and way of life. The project prioritizes corporate profits, threatening the livelihoods and cultural survival of thousands. A federal judge visited the area in September, but the outcome remains uncertain. Very similar to the previous story, just that this is happening in Brazil, this is happening on a river, but this is not in the forest. But it's again indigenous people fighting for their rights, talking about the river, talking and wanting to protect the river. So it's very similar, but it's just nice to know that people are like standing up and talking out. Hopefully this judge makes a good decision, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. And I think when we were discussing this story,
Oops,
um,
I think I can't hear you. Are you muted?
when we were discussing this story, we talked about um, the role of judiciary, the role of the role of uh, governments, or the judiciary of the land. We talk about government a lot as if it's an entity of its own, but judiciary is a wing of the government, of the peoples in a democratic nation, and judiciary is one of the strongest pillars of, or should be one of the strongest pillars of a democratic nation. And I think we discussed on this particular perspective, I guess, for a little while, just asking this question that um, judiciary has these unique set of powers to make some really potent decisions for the
Decisions, yeah.
environment, for these kinds of issues. And yeah, I feel like
But
those powers of the judiciary, they should exercise those powers and take those decisions that not only affects the ecosystem, but also the indigenous peoples and their rights.
yeah, I think the problem here is that one, obviously the judiciary can protect. Two, that there is no proper classification. Like indigenous people aren't seen separately. Their rights are not properly defined, and they're the ones that are already or always
Mm,
exploited.
mm.
So yeah, it's a little hard when we think about it that way, that uh, that indigenous people don't get the same amount of privilege that, let's say, a person with a lot of money does. They don't get the same voices. So here, like, there's just like, the entire river basin is going to be blasted. That's going to kill their entire survival.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the plight that these indigenous communities all around face. I think this the recognition of indigenous peoples and their rights, they they have been long been neglected, especially during the rise of imperialism and colonialism in the 19, 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. The huge rise of colonial powers from centered across Europe. And I think those the remnants or the leftovers of those wounds are still present in the form of indigenous communities and indigenous peoples not having the land rights, or you know being exploited at the hands of the more powerful and things like that. So I feel like the federal judge here has the power and the means
And the moral
to,
obligation, like,
and the moral obligation, for
yeah.
for certain. Yes, that's a very good point. I think moral obligation too, to make sure these kinds of issues are dealt with swiftly, and set an example. How the law mostly works on precedences, and what has happened before and things like that. um yeah, set a precedent basically.
Yep. So we are hoping that the indigenous communities in Indonesia and Amazon get their relief, and their areas are protected. It's easier said than done, but hopefully the administrative and the government side and the judges, they're fair to these indigenous people. But we can only hope against hope.
mm. Mm. There is the third story that we talked about, relating to indigenous communities, again coming from Latin America. This is from Mongabe again. It's headlined: Indigenous Ikoots community prepares to relocate as the Pacific floods their town. Mexico's Pacific coast is experiencing severe coastal erosion, threatening the indigenous Ikoots community of, I can't pronounce this, Kautemok, uh, Kautemok, maybe,
I
I don't know. Um, since 1967, the ocean has eroded an average of 8.4 meters of coastline annually, displacing residents and damaging infrastructure. The community of 9,000 people faces
900.
increasing, sorry, 900 people faces increasing flooding as home and streets are swallowed by the sea. The locals reporting a loss of approximately 1 kilometer of land since mid 20th century. Despite voting to relocate in May 2025, the process is stalled due to bureaucratic hurdles and a lack of financial resources for many residents to move independently. This leaves the community vulnerable as the sea continues to encroach upon their land and livelihoods. I feel like this article talks about this situation, which is, it is a human interest story, but it talks about the situation in terms of like, this is nature causing the problem, but it is not. It is us who have caused the problem, and that's why nature is behaving or responding in a certain way. it is us that have triggered the glaciers to melt and the sea levels to rise. And this plight will be faced by a lot of coastal communities by the end of
Yeah,
this decade.
they do say that climate refugees will probably like outdo war refugees, like at the in probably another 50 years there'll be more climate refugees because more because the sea level is rising. And obviously
Mm.
people who don't stay next to the sea or don't stay in these low lying areas, they don't realize what the rising sea level actually means for these places. So here, like, I mean, the ocean has eroded an average of 8.4 meters of coastline annually. And it says that, like, the locals have reported a loss of 1 kilometer of land. So that's a huge amount of land. Um, and this is going to be a problem going forward. But even here the indigenous people are like kind of stuck in a bureaucratic hurdle. They don't have financial resources, they're not able to move out. So it's like the same story as the past, but here this is not something where where like the government is causing uh, the blockade. Here, the government is causing a blockade in a different way. They're not displacing them efficiently, but like they're not causing the deforestation or the blasting of rocks. Here, the ocean is taking over, or the nature is reclaiming what probably was its before.
Yeah, true. And like, funnily enough, the country I am based in right now, this is projected to the entire country is projected to go underwater by like 2060 or 80 or something like that. So,
New
um,
Zealand is not that like that low lying. I mean, I would say like Maldives and all the island
I mean,
nations, they
still
would
it's an
be.
island, and it is projected to go underwater at some point in like I think 2060 or 80 or something like that.
But you have a lot of mountains in New Zealand,
Mountains,
right?
but people don't live on mountains, right? People live
True,
on the land.
but eventually they would have to probably shift there, right? But with like other countries, like let's say Maldives or Mauritius or even Tonga, where we've gone, it's just flat.
Or
Like,
even Mumbai, like our financial capital of India. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
Mauritius is also not a good idea. There are hills there. So probably Maldives or Tonga and all those, island countries which are just flat. Like, those are the
Mhm.
countries that are going to, and I think they're already saying like in places like Kiribati and all, like the sea levels have risen so much, it is causing a problem. So climate refugees of all these island nations, they're all at equal risk. And the indigenous people need to start preparing, the governments need to start preparing, and there has to be like more effective I don't know, like I don't know what you can actually do, like other than relocating. I don't know what is the
Yeah, we
solution.
have the dominoes have started falling. There's no way to make the dominoes unfall. But we can be make sure or try to make sure that more dominoes don't fall. Um, One of the
Yeah.
major things we could do is stop eating, or not stop eating, but like consume less cows. They're farting a lot and they're causing a lot of climate pollution. Um,
in
and
general in general I think we need to be more aware of what we eat, how much we eat, and where it is being sourced from. We also need to be very sure of how our lifestyle is and the kind of carbon footprint that we are bringing onto the planet. Especially if you're someone who believes in having kids, you have to leave something for the future generation. Right now they'll be like little kids and they'll be frolicking around, but when they get to our age, they will be really disappointed with how things are and what kind of world that we like we brought them into.
yeah, I mean, not having kids is also a good idea. But I like, again, we are not preachers here. We are not holy man and woman here. We can't preach what you want to do or what you should do and can't do. But we're just presenting that viewpoint, what we strongly believe in. Both of us have decided not to have kids, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't. But if you do, then just be aware of what you're. It is relatively easy to, birth a child, but to leave them in a world which is completely devastated and tired. Nature is getting tired, I feel like, and these are the ways. Bigger tsunamis, bigger earthquakes, bigger volcanoes. These are the way that nature will respond to
And
all the
show its,
atrocities.
yeah, and show its anger that, I'm really angry, what are you doing to
Correct.
me?
Mother Nature
So
is angry.
yeah, and honestly, like, we feel like we're in control, but when nature takes over, like when there's a tsunami, when there's a flood, when there's an earthquake, there is nothing you can do. Like, as mighty and haughty as you might be as a human, you'll be always humbled by nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right. So this again this story. We definitely hope that the government finds relocation for these people, and the bureaucracy is sort of toned down. But as Meghna said, there's not much we can contribute to this, or there's not much we can do to reverse this whole situation, other than you know being mindful of our actions, and things like that. um, yeah.
Definitely, yes. And I mean, talking about being mindful, I think this is another problem. Again, this is not an indigenous problem, but in Myanmar's limestone hills, people and bats are often too close for comfort. A recent bat census in northeastern Myanmar reveals increasing human disturbance is making karst cave systems unsuitable for bats, raising concerns for both wildlife and public health. Limestone quarrying, tourism, hunting, and guano harvesting are primary threats within Myanmar's extensive karst landscape, the second largest in Southeast Asia. These unique ecosystems harbor numerous endemic and newly discovered species, yet less than 1% is protected. This lack of protection, coupled with rising demand for resources, fuels clandestine mining and deforestation. Scientists emphasize bats' roles as viral reservoirs, highlighting the importance of managing human bat interactions to prevent disease spillover. Conservationists urge greater protection for these fragile populations.
Hmm.
Very similar to, I think, the other problems in other places, but I think this is again, Myanmar is also Southeast Asia. People are trying to make their living, so limestone quarrying is a big thing. But even though there are so many endemic and new species, it's actually mind boggling that only less than 1% is protected. And I mean, oops, like I always thought, like we always prioritize the people, right? Like in this case, you're putting the humans and the bats into really small places together, and if the humans get any disease from the bats, then we're going to blame the bats. Like we're never going to blame ourselves for it.
Oh, 100%. um I think the wet markets of a certain Southeast Asian country is, and bats, has been popularized
uh
by the
COVID.
COVID
Yeah, COVID.
pandemic.
And then I think Nipah virus that we talk about in India. There's so many viruses that do get transferred, from bats. And bats are important in their own right, but I think that is why they always say that you need to have your distance. They have their own ecosystem, and you don't really enter their ecosystem.
Right. Those viruses the bats have grown immune to, or the bats have immunizations against those particular viruses and things like that. But obviously, we humans don't, and this is a big concern when interacting with any species. I think even when research is carried out with chimpanzees, this is a big concern, that you wear masks and do not transfer any sort of blood to them, or and there aren't any open wounds and things like that, because obviously they have resistance to some things that we don't, and we have resistance to some things that they don't. So I think this human animal contact is, as Meghna was saying, it's maintaining. your distance with the animals. That's very important too, because we have separated ourselves so much from nature, right?
Yeah, that is true. And the thing is, like, one, these landscapes are really unique, these cast cave landscape. Second, like, the bat droppings are actually used as fertilizer. So guano that
Mm,
they've talked about harvesting, the guano comes from bats. So if you really need the bats, I don't understand why you're that close to them, why you're cutting down their habitat and then expecting to still reap the benefits that you would get.
mm,
And I'm just going to do like a quick share so that you can see the bats in the ecosystem that is there. So this is like the cave system. It's beautiful, and you can see all the bats at the top of that cave system. So this is how the cave system um, lives. And bats are from 5 evolutionary lineages. um, Yeah, bats are from 5 evolutionary lineages, um, and they're living in these roosts. This is the limestone landscape as well that is shown
mm,
in Myanmar.
mm,
And again, more bats, all the bats that are there. Bats obviously are seed dispersers and pollinators. And they are forest regenerators, as is with most wildlife that is in the forest. Like, they all have their own role to play. They're all dependent on the forest, and the forest is dependent on them, which is why it's a beautiful cycle of life.
and like one has to understand, like this is just a good opportunity to go through that side of things as well. Like, um, the way evolution works is very simple. If there is a niche that is unfulfilled, and if there is a niche that there is a space for a new species to emerge, that's when new species emerges. It's not random. We choose to make a liger out of a lion and tiger, and that becomes a new species. It's not like that. Or we choose to modify some genes of a gray wolf and call it a dire wolf. It's not like that. Or we modify a few genes of an African elephant and call it a mammoth. It's not like that. It develops because there is a niche, because there is a opportunity for another species to fill that niche. And bats, as being like, it is a mammal. It's a fox looking thing that can fly. So what was the need for that? There was a need for that. There was a need for those kinds of pollinators. The whole process, if you look at it, is beautiful. uh,
Yeah.
there's there's a sword-billed hummingbird which capitalizes on a specific flower, which the pollen and the nectar is so deep inside that it needs a long bill, a sword-like bill, to reach that nectar and sort of the pollen source. So, which means that that niche they have developed into a new species, and that means for the hummingbird that they are the only ones that can capitalize on that flowers, and for the flowers it means that those hummingbirds are the only ones that can pollinate them. So
Yeah.
this is how evolution works. It's not random. Every animal, every plant, every insect has a place in the ecosystem. Now what we have done is we have tried to separate ourselves from that for our own good. At times we didn't want to be in that rat race of survival of fittest. um, it's the reason why we are doing this show. We can be so calm, not worried about a lion attacking us from behind or something like that. But imagine us doing this show from a cave or something like that. But um, we have decoupled ourselves from that natural process and the natural rat race. But I don't know. I don't know whether Meghna believes it's not a good thing. She would have liked to be in the African savannah. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really hard to actually film this from a cave. I would love to. I mean, if we could actually do this episode from different places, it would actually be really, really cool. But it's already hard with us just trying to go out of the city and try to even like do these episodes from other places. But the what, how Oops told about the hummingbird, that's how nature works. So everything evolved over time, and it evolved perfectly, like it's like a jigsaw puzzle that fits. So like you go into
Hmm.
the forest, and you have some trees that are shorter, some are longer. There are some different leaves, there are some animals, and they all have their own role to play. So with this story, basically the bats are really important, and the bats in those limestone caves are important. And even if we need limestone, there needs to be probably a limit on where that limestone can be quarried from. It can't come at the expense of the bats. It can't come at the expense of the humans that have to interact or be in close connection or close space with the bats. So there has to be some kind of lines drawn. And also, if this is a unique ecosystem, it needs to be protected. Like when will we start understanding that we need to start protecting?
Hmm. I think that that balance of economic growth and I guess the need to protect Mother Nature needs to go hand in hand. And I think as as much as it is as much as it might seem like a detractor for developing nations saying, "Oh, they did it 50 years back, so why shouldn't we? Why don't we have the right?" Which is a valid argument. I will give them, but this is as I've been I keep on saying that this is also an opportunity, and this has been showed by a lot of developing countries that this is also an opportunity for them to show the world that how it can be done. Bhutan is a great example. They don't care about what you know uh, China is doing, or America is doing, or India is doing, or the Europe is doing. They care about their nature. They care about the happiness. It is one of the happiest countries in the world, right? um
Yeah, and the thing is that they don't even care about tourism. Like I mean they actually kind of impose,
Discourage, yeah,
yeah, they
exactly.
discourage. Like, they if you're not from, I think, India or Nepal, you have to pay $250 per day to
Hmm.
actually be in Bhutan. So it kind of discourages people to come there. So I mean, more and more countries need to start adopting that. Then be like, oh, my country has to be at the top of the economic list, and my country needs to be this superpower, and the only way I'll get there is by not protecting anything, raising everything off, fighting with other countries, and just like war and genocide. Like, I mean, we have enough negativity. We need to start getting more positive, and if we do not, then our race will not be able to survive. I mean, David Attenborough gave it till 2100 tops, and that's how it is. So that's like 70, 75 years away from now.
Yeah. But, again, that is not to put anybody off or saying, oh, we are going to die in 75 years, so let's not do anything. It's not only our planet, it's also shared by all these other different species. And if we didn't make that decision to decouple ourselves from nature, if we didn't make that decision to distance ourselves from Mother Nature, and we were part of that process, all these questions wouldn't have come about, and we could have gone about living our lives. Every animal has impact, has a carbon footprint in its own way, but it's taken into account by the natural ecosystems and things like that. Because we decoupled and we skyrocketed, that's why we have to talk about these things. That's why with great power, famously, this was said by Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. So we have given us that power, given ourselves that power. So now we must start taking responsibility.
True. So hopefully, yes, we take that responsibility. Hopefully, in Myanmar, more areas are covered. It's always hope for us. We keep using this word because there's nothing else we can do than try to create awareness, get people to start talking, get people to start bonding, and then because the only power we have is our voice. So collective voices really make a difference. So hopefully, the bats can be saved, the ecosystem can be saved, and the humans can be saved.
True. Here's to hoping that we'll keep a track of this story, these kinds of stories as well, and post an update if there is any. Talking of toxic things, about there's another story from this comes from the Guardian. It says toxic waste from screens end up in endangered dolphins, study finds. A new study reveals toxic chemicals from electronic waste are contaminating endangered dolphins and porpoises in South China Sea. Researchers detected significant levels of gene altering liquid crystal monomers, LCMs, found in TV, computer, and smartphone screens in Indo Pacific humpback dolphins and finless porpoises. These stable synthetic chemicals don't easily degrade in the environment, accumulating in the food chain. The pollutants were found in the animals' brains and bodies, and also detected in their prey, raising concerns about potential human exposure via seafood. Analyzing samples over 14 years, the City University of Hong Kong team highlighted the health risks posed by LCMs to both marine life and people. E waste. What a fun topic.
Yeah.
Um,
And the thing is, I don't think people realize that when they, when they dispose of their old TV or their computer or the smartphone, where it
yeah.
ends up.
Where does it go? Yeah.
Yeah, and the and the weird thing is, it says it's accumulating in the food chain. So now, there are concerns about potential human exposure via seafood, which means
Mm,
they're not only talking about the dolphins. Yes, dolphins are actually eaten in places, especially like Japan and other places. Very, very shocking for me, that the whole Taiji and the Cove, the documentaries that were made, like they actually eat the dolphins. But also, if it's found in the dolphins, that means the everything that the dolphin was consuming also consumed those LCMs. So
mm,
all the fish in the ocean.
and fish we do consume. Dolphins are actually consumed in quite a few different places in the world. Not maybe the endangered species, but they are consumed a lot of different places. Also, there is the hunt, the cutting of dolphins. What is it called? The trap, the
The cutting of
you know
dolphins.
the killing of dolphins in that island.
Yeah, the Taiji in Japan, right? The
No, no, no.
Cove.
The other one, the sport that you have to
Oh,
annually
the grinder trap.
grind,
No, the
grind the trap.
grind. I think the grind is not just dolphins. It's a lot of pilot whales there.
Yeah, I mean, similar, ocean mammals.
Oh,
Um,
similar.
yeah, because this mentioned pilot whales and sort of uh,
Let's let's
porpoises as well.
let's put the sharks also in together with the dolphins and the
I mean,
whales.
sharks. Yeah. Whatever we eat, if that is eating, because fishes we do eat for sure, and not only in specific countries, but a lot of all countries almost. And if the dolphins are, and then dolphins love the fishes we love, so that means there's a high chance these monomers. And the thing about these chemicals is that all of these chemicals that we have invented and devised are very difficult to degrade, very difficult to break down. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a monomer in itself, so breaking down a monomer is very, very difficult. So it can't be broken down by natural processes, and everybody is using, computers, smartphones, screens, and things like that. I think here a lot of the blame should also go to the manufacturers of these things, because there's a huge uh, debate or a huge revolt around this whole idea of right to repair. Um,
Yeah.
in our childhood, everything used to be able to be repaired.
And
Right
even if
now,
it couldn't, you could just hit your TV like twice and it
yeah,
started working. We
yeah,
would hit our
exactly,
remotes, we would hit our TVs.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
where our violence
and
comes from.
the antennas didn't work. We just, repositioned the antennas or went on the roof and repositioned something, and it would start working again. And like again, funny anecdotes aside, everything was very much repairable. As in, you took it to a repair person and they would repair it. And
And
that culture of
it
repairing
was
is
is dying, but it was also very durable, wasn't it? Oops. Everything from
exactly.
that time was durable.
Oh, 100%. And also, I think, like obviously the companies figured out that if we make things durable, then nobody will buy our there'll be no repeat customers. So let's not make it durable and let's not make it repairable. And
let's
in
tell
doing
them
that,
let's tell them that once this update comes, like your computer or your phone or whatever will get slower, so you need
mm,
to start updating. When we were little, I think just having a phone was a luxury, and if you had one, it really like just went on for years. And even if you like that phone fell, it never broke, like nothing happened. It was just
yeah, you could
everything was so
literally
durable.
pick mangoes with the Nokia phones that we had
Yeah.
as children. But I think that is a process that a lot of companies are waking up to this fact, but the damage is mostly done. Like we can prevent further dominoes from falling, but the dominoes have already started falling.
But don't you think, Oops, that the government is also equally responsible, because there needs to be better disposal measures? Because if they're allowed to just dump this waste into the ocean, there has to be some way that some stoppage needs to be done, that you cannot, dispose of. So all this electronics and the durability aside, electronics and even like renewable energy, everything that we're talking about, it comes down to disposal, like because all of these have toxic chemicals. What is the most effective way? So I honestly think, like, till we cannot find ways to dispose these off properly, we should actually stop, like, or put a penalty on these companies that find a way to dispose, like find inventions or find like ways
Yeah,
to dispose. Till that time, you
incentivize
yeah.
incentivize the research that goes into it. I think all of these things are very difficult to dispose, and even if the government devises a plan, I think there it's very difficult to devise a plan because all of these things are very very difficult to dispose of, as you said as well, and it's
Yeah,
whatever way we choose. Like, why plastic is so difficult to recycle? Because these are made of polymers, and once it forms a shape, it's very difficult to return it back to the original, mers or monomers that made up that polymer. It's very difficult to return it back to the original shape, and that's why shape or the original form, not shape but form. And that's why recycling plastic is a myth. Like plastic, 90% of the plastic does not get recycled. It just gets compacted into these boxes and gets thrown into the ocean. Now, those boxes might survive for 20 years, 30 years, for 40 years, 50 years, whatever. But soon it will start disintegrating and all the plastic will start releasing into the ocean. So, all of these chemicals and harmful chemicals that are used in our day to day products and day to day lives is very difficult to degrade and break down. And if it's not the ocean, it will be the sky or the atmosphere, and or the land or something. It will go back into nature and pollute nature in some shape or form. So I feel like that culture of use and throw, um it
change, yeah.
needs to stop.
Yeah, but I think that's really difficult now, because the products that are made in a way that they're not meant to be durable. One, probably we hold the companies accountable, but two, we need to find better disposal measures.
Mm.
Right now we see them in the dolphins. Tomorrow, when we see them in us, and then it starts causing any problems, then probably we start doing something, or maybe even then we don't do anything about it.
I
We just live
Yeah,
our
as
lives.
long as the
It's not
rich
killing us.
is unaffected, or it's not killing us in huge numbers, then
Yeah,
if it's a slow poison, then it's
people
you're
don't
sort
care.
of, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you're immune to it.
Yeah, it's like the air pollution. Like, people have lung problems and they have other
Yeah.
diseases, but they're like, hey, I'm still living, okay? Like, I have a life. So, we don't need to bother. It's the
Hey,
same
you,
with
you you
these,
sprinkle some water on the sensors. You
and we'll
sprinkle
be
some.
all good. And
We'll
we'll
be
be
all
all
good.
good. Yeah,
It's
it's the
like an
same.
ostrich, right? If
Yeah.
something chases an ostrich, it puts its head into the sand because it can't see anything. That means nobody can see it. But
Yeah.
that's not how the world works.
But that's how the world is trying to work right now. Like, with the entire amount of consumerism that is there, like people, like at this point of time, people also have to be aware of how much usage that they bring to the table with each product. The companies need to care about how durable they make their products, and obviously the governments need to care about disposal systems, because at the end of the day, only when it starts killing us, if we take action that time, it will be too late.
It will be too late. It will be too late. And I think right now there has the studies that have been done on this plastic pollution in humans. I'm sure all of us have microplastics in some shape or form inside us, but fortunately, it's not affecting us in a large scale yet. But it's only time before it just start doing that. Um,
Yeah.
so again, don't eat dolphins. If you are eating dolphins, stop eating dolphins. That's the first thing. But also, I think, as Meghna said, be mindful. All of these stories that we covered, it's all about being mindful about your choices, and which I think is possible. It can be done. Being mindful of your choices, walking somewhere instead of taking your car, or
Yeah.
those kinds of things. Simple things.
But yeah, I mean, those are all different lifestyle changes that you'll be making. But with the electronics, yeah, I mean, we just have to be more and more aware of what we are doing and what's going into our body. So both
Hmm.
ways, the government, the people, the companies, everyone needs to band up together.
Yeah, if there is a local right to repair group in your city or your district or your state or your county or whatever it is, if there's a local right to repair group, then definitely check them out. If you feel like donating, donate to their cause. There are groups across the world who are trying to fight against this culture of use and throw in especially in the electronics space. So yeah, join them if you can, and that advocate against those companies who are trying to make technology just a commodity largely. We can do better. I do believe that we can do better. Um,
Yeah.
but that's all we had to say about that.
Yep. I think we can actually move on to some species discovery.
Cool.
So yeah. Um. Oh, actually, we have some. We have a lot of short stories as well.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. I think I am actually going to first do this. After 175 years, Galapagos giant tortoises returned home. Galapagos National Park rangers recently initiated a historic effort to repopulate Floriana Island with giant tortoises absent for 175 years. 50 young tortoises aged 7 to 15 and weighing up to 40 pounds were released, with 158 more planned for release. These aren't pure Floriana tortoises, but hybrids carrying genes from multiple islands: Floriana, Wolf Volcano, Santiago, and Espanola, bred over 15 years in a dedicated program. The project aims to restore the island's ecosystem, as tortoises are crucial seed dispersers. While the released tortoises are hybrids due to the extinction of the original Floriana species, scientists hope they will contribute to the recovery of a tortoise population on the island. Hundreds more await release from the park's breeding center. A
Hmm.
positive story, a niche that is waiting to be filled. Obviously, it's not the species that is extinct, but in this case, this is more like filling a void. It is not like, creating a new species for our
Hmm.
profit. It is a species to bring back the or save the environment of these islands. So this is really nice, and the fact that they're going to bring in more tortoises, and the fact that they're aware that they're not the actual, like the original Floriana species, the effort can be commended.
Yes, definitely. I'm just sharing a short video of this tortoise basically going about its business, eating some flora on the island. Yeah, I think um, they again
do do
morphologically they're very similar. Sorry.
do tortoises just look old from when they're born, like?
I feel like they're very wrinkly skin, and yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a young looking tortoise. Um,
Yeah, because
uh,
I mean they're supposed to be between 7 to
no, but
15.
I think the smaller ones, the smaller ones with the cute big eyes, they look very young, even if
Yeah.
they're old.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe species to species.
yeah, um, I think this is great. As Meghna said, not same species, but it's about filling the niche and filling the work that those niches used to do. Um, Again, very similar morphologically and physically. So these hybrid tortoises, this is also a successful, I guess, breeding program, right?
Yeah.
A breeding program success story as well. These are the people carrying these tortoises on a boat to one of the islands of the Galapagos system. Um, Here we see a short video of them unloading, I think, transported by boats.
To the island,
Here,
yeah.
yeah, here is the Floriana Florena giant tortoise. It's being reintroduced to the island again. It carries some genes from the original species. But as it said, it's not the original species. It's like a hybrid. Oh my god! Like, look at these tortoises on top of each other.
That
Quite
sounds
funny to look
dirty.
at.
Yeah.
But quite funny. It is quite dirty. I can see specks of dung on their backs and things like that.
No, no, I
Um,
didn't mean it that way. I meant the
I
dialogue
mean,
that you said.
also,
Yeah,
yeah,
but oops, you remember when we were younger, especially in India, like they teach you that it is called a tortoise, like not a tortoise. So
yeah.
the pronunciation, I think, for us was corrected much later. We would always say tortoise, tortoise.
Uh, yeah, no, that is. I mean, it doesn't matter as long as uh, the
The
meaning
meaning,
is transferred.
yeah, I mean English is really weird that way, that they have like silent letters and letters that shouldn't be used in pronunciation. So if you read it, you
Correct.
would probably read it as a tortoise, but when you say it, you have to say, you have to eat up the e,
Yeah.
the second o.
Very dirty boxes. This is just a video of these tortoises being transported. They're in their own filth to a certain extent, but again, that's the reality of how tortoises or any other animal is transported, I guess. um but it's a very good success story, a great breeding success story. Oh, look at that, such a great photograph. Again, love photographs from National Geographic, sorry, stories from National Geographic. And hopefully these tortoises actually find this island breedable. I'm sure there has been a lot of research carried out before releasing these tortoises into this island kind of looks very barren, but obviously this is the niche that they're here to fulfill. And yeah, hopefully the the longer term survival of these tortoises are you know and this island is sort of monitored and taken care of as well. Lovely project.
Yeah, it's a good positive story, and I mean when animals are bred this way to actually help the environment, those are things that we do support. So in this case, it was a niche that needed to be filled. um
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a part of this article which says what comes next for the tortoises. Today's tortoises face a new version of the old threat. They're worth big money in a country known for corruption, and there's long and recent history of trafficking and poaching giants. So this is a problem. Thefts has been there taken place in breeding centers. There's also a local market for tortoise meat, with
Oh.
some believing their flesh has sexual power. So
Oh.
all these different things, challenges for these tortoises. So as I said, like, monitoring will be a crucial part of this reintroduction program as well. But overall, this picture sums it up beautifully, and this is a beautiful picture as well. It's an overall success for this breeding program, and yeah, it remains to be seen what else this breeding program can do.
Yep. Okay. What do you want to cover next, Oops?
Let me see. Let me see. I think um, the Michelin star jellyfish.
Okay.
Um, this is a new discovery, a species discovery. Comes from an article on phys.org. It says new Michelin star jellyfish discovered in Japanese aquaria. A new jellyfish species, Malagazia michelin, has been discovered in Japanese waters by researchers from Fukuyama University and several aquariums. This marks only the second species identified with its genus known in Japan. First observed in Nagasaki and Yamaguchi prefectures, the jellyfish, measuring 12 to 20 millimeter, wow, okay, so very small, is distinguished by unique brown spots resembling oil droplets on its reproductive organs and stomach. DNA analysis confirmed its genetic species status. Researchers playfully named it after the Michelin Guide. Nothing the Noting the increasing brown spots with maturity mirror a restaurant gaining stars. It's also nicknamed Ama no Gawa Korage, Milky Way jellyfish, due to its resemblance to a starry galaxy. The complete life cycle has been observed in captivity, and I am just sharing the photo of the jellyfish. I'll just double check if it's the correct photograph. Uh, oh, actually, for some reason, this taking a lot of time to open on my system. I don't know why. Um, Meghna, are you back?
OBS में कनेक्ट नहीं कर पा रही. Uh,
Ah, okay. Um, yeah, I think as you guys know, Meghna is streaming from a different location and facing some problems there, but that's okay. That's okay. That's part and parcel of doing a remotely done show. So this is basically the photograph of the jellyfish. The brown dots of the star. It's a very small jellyfish, 20 millimeters, so basically 2 centimeters. Very, very small jellyfish. And it's um, it resembles the Milky Way. It resembles stars, Michelin stars. Very, very cute looking thing overall. But
wow.
yeah, it is. It is very, very cool looking. Very cool
Yeah,
looking.
that does look
Um,
very pretty.
mm, mm, mm.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was a cool
That's
discovery. Again, as we said, new discoveries and documenting those discoveries are very, very important because it just gives you access, or it just helps the government or whatever, the bodies responsible for protecting those particular species or those particular ecosystems, just making them aware that, oh, be aware, there's another species there, and it might have its unique needs and unique optimize or adaptations that you want to be aware of when you are doing something to that ecosystem.
yeah.
So yeah, cool little discovery.
And the name is also quite cute, like the Malagazia Michelin, like the Michelin stars.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct,
that's really cool.
correct.
Okay. So let's head on to the next topic. This is actually a short story.
Hmm.
Um, 1 minute. So it's a story about cockfighting, and the story is from Peru. Um, 1 second. Yeah. So it says, why is cockfighting a risk to Peru's rarest fish? A new film reveals a surprising link between Peru's cockfighting tradition and the critically endangered large-toothed sawfish. Despite being believed extinct in Peruvian waters, sawfish rostral teeth are illegally carved into spurs for the sport. Though increasingly discouraged, demand persists due to economic hardship and cultural significance. The film follows individuals impacted by this conflict: a fisherman who caught a sawfish, a scientist attempting to save one, a biologist tracking the species' decline, and a cockfighting leader advocating for change. It highlights the complex challenges for conservation, balancing cultural practices with the survival of a vulnerable marine species and the illegal wildlife trade. um I don't know why cockfighting is culturally significant. Like I've never understood. um like, why don't the men just fight each other? Like, why are they bringing their you know um their their cocks out, like, in the sense their chickens or the male hens out, and then they want to they want to make them fight with some razor sharp blades tied to their feet. It's popular in a lot of countries. It's there in India too, but here I don't think they tie these teeth or
The
something. I think they
shaving
tie
blade.
is, yeah, they tie blades here. Yeah. One, obviously, I think it would be great if the cockfighting practice can go. But two, if in other countries they're using something like blades and they still need that cultural significance for whatever reason, then why are you still trying to keep killing these fish just because that's what they used to do before?
Yes. I'm sharing the video of which is there, the short documentary on this channel. I've just muted it so that YouTube does not you know strike us. But as you can see, that these sawfish teeth are being used. There is actually, Meghna, a very deep-rooted and an ancient reason for why you would want to initiate these cockfights. It's because to check the genetic diversity and the genetic superiority of a particular species of fowl compared to all other species. That's why bullfighting is done in Spain, or the jallikattu is done in certain parts of a bullfighting or a bull showcase is done in certain parts of India as well. It is because you want to check the genetic prowess of certain species and which species you want to sire the next generations in. So
Okay.
that's the historical and ancient background of
Yeah, and it
cockfighting.
must have,
But
but now it's not relevant, right? There must be other methods of trying to find that out. There must be better ways than, like, I mean, that's the rostrum of the sawfish that's coming on the art on the video.
mm,
So that is what is cut, and the little teeth that you're seeing, that's what is being used basically. And
mm,
sawfish are called sawfish, as you saw. They could just cut a fish into two because the
mm,
it actually works like a saw. So these
yeah.
are very critical for their environment and the environment that they thrive in. So they're killing the sawfish, and they're killing the cocks. And I mean, overall, I don't know how it benefits anyone, because oops, even if it was to for the genetic differentiation earlier, now it's just a pleasure sport. It's not really, it doesn't have the same cultural significance. None of these festivals have cultural significance anymore.
Yeah, no, agreed, agreed. I was just giving the historical background of that. I think it's relevant to an extent, but using sawfish teeth, look at this, so many of them, and it's like properly, made into there's a knob, there's a metallic thing that it's made for that. Just attach it to the fowl's leg, and
The
then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you go for it. Sawfish sight. Oh my god, people are marking on Google Maps. There's a sighting there. Go and fish there. Oh my god, did you see that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and look at the size of that sawfish. It's
Yeah.
actually it's actually nice that there's a film and a documentary, because videos really create that impact that talking doesn't. Like, like
Mm.
videos and photos have that impact, and
Look at
documentaries
it.
are
Only
a
the
very
rostrum is
very
kept, and everything
yeah.
else is thrown out. People.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
rostrum itself is like I think 1.5 feet. Like that's
Yeah.
what it looked like, 1.5 to 2 feet. Like it was a really long rostrum. Yeah. So I don't see the point of killing the sawfish just for this. Two, great. Oh my god, it's
Oh,
$250 for one spur.
wow. And wow, look at that.
Wait, what is it? What is it even being used for other than the cockfighting? Like, why is
I
it two
don't
hundred
think
and fifty
anything
US
else.
dollars?
I don't think
But
it's
it's
being
being
used for anything else.
But it's being sold in US dollars. So I mean, why is it priced in US dollars?
I mean, that's the international currency of trade. So I don't know. Maybe some other countries are uh, using these things too. But like, oh my god, it is a lot of money. So I can understand the fishermen wanting to kill more and more sawfish. Look at them. Look at them. Wow. Okay. Look at the blades attached. Wow.
Yeah, it's quite it's a really nicely made documentary, and
Yeah.
this is actually like really nice to know that there are yeah. And I just did a search. It says that sawfish spurs or their rostral teeth are expensive primarily because they're derived from a critically endangered species, so making them
Hmm.
rare, while demand remains high for their cultural and traditional uses. Also, and $250 is on the black market. So
Wow.
that's, yeah. I mean,
I mean, obviously,
yeah,
these things
and
are
all
generally, yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
and it
why not?
also says
Why
that
can't they use blades, man? I don't know. But use blades. I mean, cockfighting, fight. Those things. Yeah, cockfighting is fine. We have already made hens and chickens into a commodity. They suffer much more worse circumstances in their coops and for the meat and things like that. Cockfighting, fine. But why do you have to use sawfish fish
no,
teeth?
it's not fine. Just because they're tortured in their coops and everything doesn't mean that we do not condemn other practices. Cultural significance at one point of time is different. Right now, those cultural significance is not the same. It's the same like the grind in Faroe Islands that we talk about. That it was culturally significant at one point of time because people actually probably hunted and ate those whales or dolphins. But right now, it makes no sense in the 20th century, 21st century that we're sitting in. Similarly,
Hmm.
these kind of practices need to go out of the window. One, and if the practices go out of the window, like automatically the demand for these sawfish teeth will also go out of the window. And sawfish are there are 5 species of sawfish. All of them are endangered or critically endangered, and they disappeared from over 55 countries and are only found in a few strongholds such as northern Australia and Florida. So they're just disappearing really quickly only because of people fishing them, hunting them, using them for their culture other causes. So, I mean, we're putting a fish and its ecosystem and everything surrounding it at risk just because we want those little spurs so that our cocks can fight.
Hmm. It's not done. Yeah. Again, like as Meghna said, we are not supporting the usage of animals for any of these kinds of you know sport. We are not supporting. We are not condoning that kind of behavior. But you know, using
No, we are
so
condoning that behavior.
no, we are okay. Condone means something else. You should look it up. But uh, we are we are you know not condoning that sort of behavior, but it's using sawfish rostrum for um, for this. That is taking it way too far as well. Um,
Okay.
but yeah,
Yes, I understand.
that's what we had to say about that story of cockfighting. Beautifully made documentary. Go have a look at it. Just search for cockfighting in Peru on Google or something like that,
Or
and
we could
you'll
just put
get.
the link up.
Yeah,
We can put the link
we
up
will
in.
put the link up in the pinned comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Which one do you want to
What
do
are we
next?
covering next? Hey, I did the cockfighting one.
Oh, did you? Oh, right. Sorry, sorry. Um. mm, 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 mm.
I
Scientists.
can't hear you. Am I disconnected?
This is coming from another. Um, this is coming from Research Matters. Another discovery. Scientists in Cochin, India, have identified a new species of snapping shrimp, also known as the pistol shrimps, Alpheus madhusudani, in the Cochin's estuaries mangrove waters. The discovery, made by researchers from CUSAT and CSIR NIO, is the first formal depiction of this shrimp type from Kerala. Known as a pistol shrimp, these crustaceans use specialized claws to create sonic booms for hunting and communication. The species is named in honor of marine biologist Dr. B. Madhusudana Kurup for his contributions to Keralam's marine biodiversity.
Oh
Initially
yeah,
founded
yeah. They've changed the name.
initially found in 2007 during fishery sampling, years of study, including DNA barcoding, confirmed this novelty. A. madhusudanai is visually distinct with olive green bodies, blue tipped claws, and peach colored fingertips. It differs from Alpheus rapax, with wider claw and longer front leg segment. I'm also trying to share the image of this Madhusudanai pistol shrimp. This is the image, not very long, maybe 6 or 7 centimeters from tail to claws. But
Six,
this is
seven.
the, yeah, look at that. This is 1 centimeter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 centimeters. Yeah,
Okay.
5 or 6 centimeters. Yeah,
I mean,
Alpheus madhusudanai.
it was better when it was 6, 7.
Yeah. No, I think it's smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 or 5 centimeters at the max.
No, you know the 6, 7 meme that the Gen Zs.
Oh no, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
So yeah, yeah. Whenever you say 6, 7, they go like 6, 7, and it means it's something mid, like it's not really great or something. It has no meaning, but yeah,
Ah,
like
okay.
everyone's
No,
crazy.
okay. Okay,
Uh,
okay.
but that is
But
the
this is
beautiful
the
shrimp.
Alpheus madhusudanai.
Is it a shrimp that people are going to be eating?
Probably, I don't know. Um, but this is from the named after Dr. B. Madhusudana Krupp, prominent figure in Indian marine biology. Again, as I said, like very important to have these species documented, so that when planning for that ecosystem and changing that ecosystem or impacting that ecosystem in certain ways, you know what lives there, uh, so you can make some informed decisions. Not that we do most of the time, but one can hope. A science communicator can hope.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So we'll do uh a slightly bigger topic, I guess. It's called Chronic Ocean Heating Fuels Staggering Loss of Marine Life, a study finds. A new study reveals chronic ocean heating is driving a staggering decline in marine life across the northern hemisphere. Researchers analyzing 33 populations from 1993 to 2021 found fish biomass decreased by 7.2%, with each zero point 0.1 degree Celsius of warming per decade. This warming, specifically of the ocean floor, has a significant impact, with losses reaching 19.8% in a single year. Lead author Shahar Chaikin emphasizes a direct correlation. Faster seabed warming equates to faster fish loss. While marine heat waves can cause temporary population booms in colder regions, these gains mask overall widespread losses. Fish in colder waters temporarily benefit but cannot offset the larger, uh, long term damage caused by consistent warming. The research highlights the urgent need to address climate breakdown. And I think we've spoken about this just in this episode as well, like that we have to be more aware of how the climate is heating up, how the sea levels are rising. We need to address it. We need to be aware of it. We need to accept it. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is what is
Hmm.
happening.
Um. Yeah. Absolutely. I think we have been. I think the theme of this episode has been being aware and being aware of everything around ourselves, right? So this, yeah,
Yeah,
this is
and
just
we're not even
part of it.
talking about, yeah, we're not talking about like the El Ninos or the La Ninas, like the heating cold events that go on in the ocean. That has become quicker, but it is also just the repetitive warming of the oceans. So there are
Hmm.
some heat waves, as it says in the study, that are extreme,
I think Meghna, again facing some technical difficulties. You know, excuse us for that. But um, also, I think this chronic nature of it, the chronic nature of it, is due to the fact that it is this repetitive thing. And the discussion question we have for the story is, how do we balance short term gains from shifting fish populations with long term ocean health? I think this is a this is a you know thing that is going to keep happening if we don't pay attention to it. And this 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 story is just the beginning. Like, ocean warming and ocean heating is being is a constant thing that is going on. Ocean acidification. We had a guest, Jessica Hankins, who talked about ocean acidification a few episodes ago. So go check that episode out. We'll put the link somewhere in this video as well. But um, I think these things are like something which is catastrophic for the ocean ecosystem. And since the ocean ecosystem for most times is, you know, beyond our purview, direct purview, it's not on land, it's beyond our direct purview, it often gets missed, that in that way. Um,
yeah. I'm sorry, I had I think a power outage, and the
yeah,
power's not back,
that's
but somehow
okay.
the Wi-Fi is back. But it works. It works. But yeah, did you cover the story?
Yeah, I just was talking about, like, ocean acidification, ocean warming. These are um, very impactful to the marine life, and since we can't see them like we can see land animals or land mammals, it's even more distant from us.
It is true. It is true. That is how it is working. Like, I mean, with the ocean, we don't really care about it as much as we care about the land, because we can't see it. But the ocean actually gives us like more oxygen than the land does. And this is really scary to know that the ocean is warming. Like the slightest warming is causing so many species to just be wiped out or decline at an alarming rate. Like, it's a 0.1 degree Celsius of warming per decade, but it's still, like, the losses are reaching 20% in a single year. That is crazy. That little bit of warming, that means these species were meant to be, or they were adapted to a certain way, and it can't warm even that much in a decade. That's
Mm,
how much, the little change causes a problem for them.
mm, mm. Yeah. The- and like, as Jessica had talked about when she came on the show, these ecosystems have developed very they're fine tuned their way of life and their whole process of life in a very careful way over hundreds and thousands of years, and to disrupt that, and like they're very sensitive to these slight small changes, and to disrupt that means you basically are threatening the entire ecosystem. And it's such a intricately, like, ocean seems like a big place, but the ecosystem and the animals that live there are so intricately connected. Meghna is an avid diver, and she has experienced this firsthand as well. um, you know I think, yeah, Meghna is facing her set of problems, technological problems there. But yeah, as I was saying, like, it is very a sensitive ecosystem, the one that needs careful consideration before we try and uh, you know impede that sort of progress and that sort of I guess that sort of uh, what's the word? I'm looking for the word, but yeah, that sort of balance and ecosystem balance that these animals have enjoyed for such a long time. Um, let's see. I think that's where we will end this story, and then let's see if I can cover another story. And by the time Meghna rejoins, um, this is a story from Mongabe again, and this story comes from Botswana. Um, the story is headlined Botswana shows how smarter cattle herding can save lions, reopen ancient wildlife pathways. The story reads: Northern Botswana's lion population is rebounding, increasing by 50% in 4 years, thanks to restoration of traditional herding practices. Previously, cattle predation led to retaliatory lion poisonings, decimating the population. Over half were killed in the northern Okavango Delta in 2013 alone. Initiatives like collaring, tracking, and establishing a wildlife friendly beef market have dramatically reduced cattle losses and increased cub survival rates. Restoring traditional herding also aids in restoring migration routes for species like wildebeest and zebra. This success story, spearheaded by Claus Conservancy, CLAWS, offer a model for mitigating human wildlife conflict across southern Africa, where lion numbers have drastically declined continent wide. And this, as a discussion question for us, which says: Can establishing traditional practices offer a scalable solution to human wildlife conflict globally? What do you think about that, Meghna? Meghna, are you back?
Yes. Okay. So I think the light went, the light came back. What, I don't know. But yeah. Wait, so we're doing the lion story?
Yes, I think I finished up on the heat wave one. And if you want to say something else about it, you can.
No,
Uh,
no, 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 no. No, no, I need to just once quickly go over the line story. You keep talking, I'll just go over it
So
once.
yeah, so I think the answer to that question, the question we asked here is: Can restoring traditional practices offer a scalable solution to human-wildlife conflict globally? And I think the answer to that is yes. We have covered stories from indigenous communities, from ranging from South America to you know yes, from South America and to Asia to other places as well. And I think we have done this in a few other episodes as well. I think indigenous people and traditional the people who are living by traditional values, or the traditional sort of system of living, the way of living, are very aware of our. Let's put it this way: are more like 10 times more aware of their surroundings and mindful of the ecosystem compared to us urban dwellers. So that practice of bringing back the traditional way of life, not particularly everything, all the negative things that come with it, but all the positive things, can be a very good idea. What do you think, Migna?
Yeah, I just had a question. What is wildlife friendly beef though?
Um, no idea. That is a good question. Wildlife friendly beef. Maybe I don't know. I'll make a quick search for it.
Yeah,
But
because it
yeah,
says
sounds
that,
interesting.
like collaring or tracking. This is the Botswana story, right? That we're doing.
Yeah, Botswana story. Yeah.
Yeah, it does say that collaring or tracking the lions. That I understand because you can monitor if the lions are approaching or not. But then, what is this wildlife friendly beef that has reduced the cattle losses and increased the lion survival rates?
Yeah, that is a very good question.
Also, it's
Um,
nice that people are going back to their traditional herding methods because they're very different and they're nomadic and there are different routes for it. And it's aiding in restoring these migratory routes for other species as well. This is a really really nice story that people had problems with the lions. They would poison the lions, and now they're actually wanting to protect the lions. So that's a heartwarming story. It's always a heartwarming story when any species is protected, when any species is restored, when any species jumps back to good numbers. And all
so
thanks to, I think, clause conservancy. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Cornell. This is the definition from the Cornell Atkinson Center for Sustainability. So, wildlife friendly beef. Vast fences in southern Africa currently separate cattle from wildlife that can carry foot and mouth disease, impeding key species migration routes. A new approach to keeping beef virus free for international sale that does not completely depend on fences could open global markets for farmers living with wildlife, enhance livelihood opportunities from both agriculture and sustainable ecotourism. Working with partners in Botswana, this team will pilot test guidelines for biosafety in beef production that rely on practical risk mitigation steps instead of habitat disrupting fences. And viewers or listeners might think fences as a very small thing, but fences cause enormous amounts of damage. This is especially true of the ranches in South America, where you know these animals like the mountain lions or puma, these can't cross these, and they get trapped in these fences and they die a slow death. The guanaco, that is the food for the mountain lions, the pumas. They have the migration routes through these ranches, and all these ranches have these barbed wire fences, and that means these animals get trapped and die a slow and painful death. So there you go. That's wildlife friendly beef.
So the wildlife friendly beef is the one that's not grown in the fenced areas.
Correct. Correct.
But how
Does
is
not
it
rely
grown
on
then?
fences.
Okay, doesn't rely on fences. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, yeah. It's actually really nice that there's like a conservation, like clause is working so hard. And it's great that the lions have bounced back. It's great that the people also want the lions to survive now, and they're working towards coexistence, because coexistence is the need of the hour. It's always been the need, but
Mm.
earlier we used to coexist. Now it's getting harder and harder because we're like getting more and more into the animal spaces, so there's more and more conflict because of the amount of development that we're bringing in. So it's nice to go back to our roots, to our basics, and protect these animals.
Yeah, and this can be a good model for global conservation as well. Shout out to Claus. I'm just sharing their webpage. Beautiful name. Communities living among wildlife sustainability.
Very nice name.
Sustainably.
Yeah.
Sustainably. Very nice name, very nice logo. Lions, it seems from from the images and from the logo as well.
Yeah, it has the
Lions were
lion, the
particularly
cattle.
affected.
It has the lion, the cattle, and the humans.
The humans, yeah. So the
Yeah.
mission is we help people and predators thrive together by crafting solutions for reducing human wildlife conflict in southern Africa. So great cause, great. Obviously, cattle herding and animal husbandry is important, but so is land conservation and protecting those ecosystem and protecting the apex predators. So shout out to Claus, and it's a great initiative overall. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I always admire when when you have these kind of what would you call it, a NGO? Is it an NGO or
Mm,
a
it
agency?
must be like a
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but you know that they have these innovative methods. They know how to bring back, like you can actually see in this story that they were successful, and like the lions
Mm,
population has grown, and the people don't have the same hate, like, so something as simple as collaring, something as simple as introducing this beef, and then getting people to coexist with the lions. It's a big deal. So it's actually a really positive story, and it's great that we're going to be ending the episode on such a positive note.
Oh, 100%. That's why sort of I wanted to choose this story as well. And like traditional practices oftentimes are much better and more efficient than the modern, more brutal practices as well. It's just that we have this allergic reaction sometimes to, oh, traditional practices, so this must be something very weird or something very bad or something like that, or something very difficult to do, not very easy or not very sustainable. But those in my view, and I think Meghna would agree that those are the most sustainable ones. So this
Yeah,
can be a model for other communities globally, and this model can be applied to other
replicated.
places.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, totally.
which is living with this predator conflict. Um, yeah,
Yeah, and we
and
hope
then
that
like
there are
it's great to see
that there are more
these
positive stories.
yeah, traditional communities and indigenous communities taking charge in their own hands, because it's very evident that the government is doing nothing, so let's write our own destinies. It's very inspiring to see that.
Yeah, in this case, obviously, most credit goes to Claus, and then the
Mm,
people who wanted to be or were part of it and help the lions grow
mm.
back. But kudos, and we are always tired of seeing all the negative stories that we have to cover every week. So we love to see a positive story like this, and it's just yeah, it's just nice.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant, to say the least. But other than that, I think we should start tying up the show now, Meghna.
Yep. Okay. I have a very, I think, simple question. Obviously, something that we spoke about in the first topic. But how many small cats did you know? Did you know fishing cats? Did you know ocelots? Did you know jaguarandis and margays and oncillas? Like, did you know all of these cats, or were all of them new to you? Also, the flat-headed cat that looked like a half mouse, half cat. Did you see the picture? Did it amuse you as much as it amused us? And if you do not know about all these animals, then today that's your homework. Like, go read up about all these small cats, and then if you know about these small cats, you would want to protect these tiny tiny cats.
Right. That's a very important and a very good message to take away. As always, this we can only spread this message so far as you guys can spread it amongst your friend groups and family groups and things like that. So do subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends and family to subscribe to our channel. We're on all the major social media platforms, so do follow us there. We go live on all platforms at once. So whichever platform you follow us on, you will be able to see us live every Sunday when we do go live. We have some exciting guests planned for the next couple of episodes in March and April. So do keep an eye out for them. We will send out the promotional materials as and when every week as we do. But if you and if you're listening to recorded version of this podcast on your favorite podcasting app, do consider leaving us a rating and share this podcast with someone who might share your views in conservation, climate change, and wildlife. Are there other areas that we talked about? Or they might not share your views and they're just open to another viewpoint. Share it with them. That will help us spread this message far and wide. But other than that, that's it for today, and we will see you next Sunday. Same time, same channel. Have a good one, guys.
Bye bye.